Hi guys, good day and welcome back to my channel. Once again, this is Glenn Pajares. Today, I'll be giving multiple interpretations on Nietzsche's concept, the death of God. So Nietzsche is a postmodern thinker who is known to have proclaimed that God is dead, or the theme or the concept death of God in two of his major works. First, on the gay or happy science, and second, in Thus Spoke or Sprach Zarathustra. So, what is really the meaning of Nietzsche's proclamation that God is dead? So, in this video, I'll not be giving you a single absolute interpretation, but rather some or a number of interpretations on this concept. Because for all we know, Nietzsche is one of the postmodern thinkers who is difficult to interpret because he wrote in aphorisms in a very poetic manner that is difficult to interpret. So our duty or task is to do our best to interpret Nietzsche. And because Nietzsche is hard to interpret, it's inevitable not to have several interpretations on his thought. In fact, some commentators would say that Nietzsche is a kind of thinker who does not want to be understood, meaning he wrote his works not to be understood by others. So this might be true because Nietzsche himself, we never really know whether it was his intent to publish his works because his works was already published by his sister. And it could be possible that many of his thoughts were already changed or altered or adulterated or revised according to what the sister would like his works or his thoughts to be conveyed. But despite that, as students of philosophy, as I've said, it's our duty and our goal to try to interpret Nietzsche and get some important points and lessons from his thoughts. So first interpretation on Nietzsche's Death of God is that there are a lot of thinkers who think that Nietzsche became an atheist when he became an adult. So simply, he is an atheist existentialist who embraced atheism in order to justify or qualify that the Ubermensch or the Overman is on top of the world, that he is the superior man and he is the creator of values. Because one cannot fully claim that one is a superman if God will remain as the determiner of values and virtues. So, to justify the Ubermensch existence and the Ubermensch being at the top of his life and the world, God has to be rejected. So it's just one of the many interpretations of Nietzsche. Second interpretation of Nietzsche is that before Nietzsche, there were already Protestant theologians and philosophers who spoke of the death of God. In fact, Hegel is one of them, whom Nietzsche reacted. And even in Nietzsche's time, his contemporaries also spoke of the death of God. In fact, in the Protestant religion, there's a song that God is dead. Gott ist tot. God is dead. So Nietzsche, being a Protestant thinker, someone who came from a very devout Protestant family, even a family of pastors at that, so Nietzsche would have been influenced by this Protestant thinking that God is dead. Third interpretation is that God is dead because many would say that Nietzsche had a hard life living with his family. Remember that when Nietzsche's father and I think brother died, Nietzsche lived with his mother, his aunt, his sister, and the maternal grandmother. And many commentators would describe the kind of life he lived with this all-female environment to be hellish. And if Nietzsche would identify God with any of this female figure in the family, then that would be something dreadful. That would be something that Nietzsche did not want. So I think Nietzsche's idea of God does not conform to the Judeo-Christian concept of God. In fact, Nietzsche is a lover of anything Greek. He was a philologist. He was madly in love with the Greek language and Greek literature and Greek philosophy, except, of course, Socrates and Plato. So his idea of a superior being or God is identified with the Greek gods. And the characteristic of Greek gods, they were anthropomorphic. They were heroic in virtue. So contrary to the Judeo-Christian God, who favors the weak, who saves the weak, Nietzsche's God possesses or embodies the Greek concept of virtue, which is to be manly, to be strong, to be proud. So that's why Nietzsche has to or did not favor the Christian, the Judeo-Christian concept of God. So that might be an explanation why God is dead for him. Another interpretation is that Nietzsche is a philosopher who is very observant. In fact, I would say that one of the virtues or characteristics of a good philosopher is to be a keen observer, to be a critical thinker who is very much conscious and aware of the issues and challenges of the time, and who is quick or swift to respond to these challenges. And Nietzsche was just like that. He observed that during the modern time, especially in the Enlightenment, and even in the postmodern time, in his time, that thinkers, the leading scientists, philosophers, intellectuals, and many people in his time were already atheists. So he saw the decline of Christianity. He saw the decadence or the decline of faith in Christian religion. He saw people moving away from a virtuous life, a spiritual life. So during the modern time and the postmodern time, in Nietzsche's time, he observed that the world has become more secular. And Nietzsche feared that if this trend continues, if people continue to remove God, to reject God in their life, who is the basis of values and virtues, then Nietzsche was so afraid that humanity will fall into what we call meaninglessness of life, which is anti-existential. And Nietzsche, being an existentialist, did not want man's life to lose meaning. He wanted always life to be meaningful, to be something positive, to be something that we humans should appreciate and embrace and not to escape or run away from. So this is another interpretation of Nietzsche's God is dead, meaning the humanity or human beings in the modern and postmodern times rejected God in many accounts, whether political. So in the past, the source of authority of government was always in the perspective of the divine right theory or the divine mandate theory, meaning all power, all authorities emanate or come from God. So in the modern times and postmodern times, power was no longer seen coming from God, but simply coming from men in the form of social contract, in the form of laws, etc. So the postmodern and modern times is seen to be an age which has killed God. So you and I, the people themselves, killed God. So this is another interpretation. Another interpretation, which is also very important, the death of God, as proclaimed in Nietzsche, implies the death of metaphysics. So God is always associated with metaphysics. And for Nietzsche, philosophy has already reached its maximum potential or development. And because of that, philosophy has naturally died or declined. And of course, philosophy is always associated with metaphysics, and it has already been replaced by science, physics, and the natural sciences. So Nietzsche is giving us a stern warning that philosophy is on a decline and it is about to be replaced. So what does this imply? So as teachers of philosophy, as students of philosophy, as lovers of wisdom, it is our duty to keep philosophy alive, to keep on thinking, to keep on rationalizing, to continue to be critical of our times, of the challenges of the times, and to be equipped with the necessary skills and competence to be able to positively engage and respond these challenges and issues of the times. And finally, Nietzsche's concept, the death of God, is actually a challenge to the Christian religion, to all Christians, and particularly the Catholic Church, in the post and modern and contemporary times, to be more vigilant, to be self-evaluative, to be self-critical, in order to improve its ways and practices and approaches, and of course to strengthen itself and its faithful, to be more faithful to God, to be more God-fearing, to be more virtuous and spiritual than ever before. So this means that if indeed our values, the faith is declining, and a lot of people are moving away, leaving the church. So it's our challenge, both the clergy and the laity, to work together than ever before to respond to this challenge, to re-evangelize the people, to recatechize the people, to exert much effort. Just we should not just be comfortable with our comfort zone or staying in our shell, but we go out of our comfort zone. We go out of our shell in order to find ways and means to address this pressing issue. So let us all take this positively. Let us all take this challenge to bring God back to our lives, to strengthen and increase the faith in order that the life of mankind will once again be full of meaning. So, that I think is the message of hope that Nietzsche is giving us in his concept, in his central concept and theme, the death of God. So, thank you for watching and listening. I hope you learned something from this video. And of course, kindly give your comments and feedback in order to improve my future videos and future discussions. And I'm very much open to your questions and to your suggestions. So don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.